Hello, I'm James Shrinkle Clement. One of the goals of Hacking the Truth is not only to bring untold knowledge of unusual and hidden truths, but to bring you stories of people who make up the unique fabric of our lives. I'm introducing you to L. Lanier Tupelo Honey in Weewahitchka, Florida. It's a family-run business since 1898. That's 122 years. I began purchasing this special honey about 2 decades ago. I firmly believe this family's business is one of the most endearing in the entire United States. Their dedication to their family and the product is unparalleled. They hold a special place not only to those who purchase their honey, but they also hold a special place to those who have come to know Ben, Glynnis, and Dennis Lanier. If you are ever in the Florida Panhandle, please stop by and say hello and tell them I sent you. Okay, this is March the 15th.
Don't ask me, I'm
March
just here
15th,
today.
2019. I'm at L. Lanier and Sons, Tupelo Honey, and I've been buying honey here for probably 20 plus years. Actually mail order. But we're going to have an interview now, and Susan, you're going to ask some questions too, right? You can just stand there and ask some questions of her, and we'll just go from. And your name is?
Glynnis Lanier.
And your husband is?
Ben.
And his father started Tupelo Honey, correct?
His grandfather.
His grandfather. Tell us a little bit about the history of it.
Well, his grandfather started out back in about 1898 and started producing Tupelo honey commercially, and it's just been passed down to Ben's dad, and then from Ben's dad to him, and maybe our son will pick it up. He's just started working bees this year, so we'll see.
What's so unique about Tupelo honey?
Tupelo honey's the only honey in the world that will not granulate without being heated, because it's a different type of sugar. It's a fructose sugar.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Susan, you got some questions?
How many hives do you tend?
We usually run about 1,000, and
Okay.
it varies. You know, you lose so many during the year to everything, and then you build them back, so it bounces around.
Well, the last time we were here, you mentioned that the trees, the Tupelo tree. Oh, he's not going to bother me. The Tupelo big bee. The Tupelo tree grows in a swampy area, and that for every. Oh, don't use my hands. Oh, that's difficult not to use my hands. How long it takes 2 blooms? You were saying something about how many blooms it took to make like a teaspoon of honey.
Oh, a lot of
Yeah.
blooms.
Okay.
Takes a lot of blooms.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Tupelo tree grows in the wetlands in the Apalachicola River Valley.
Okay.
Tree has to have a lot of water, and starting about November every year, the swamp needs to be full of water for the tree to produce in the spring.
So do you go in a boat and then they get out of the boat to harvest the?
No, they used to put them on elevated platforms on the riverbanks, but it's just cost prohibitive to do it now. So we drive to all our locations now,
Oh, okay.
and we build dirt mounds up, and we keep them on dirt mounds.
Oh, so the roots go down into the swamp area.
The trees grow down in the swamp.
Gotcha. Okay. And there was a question I was going to ask you earlier, and it slipped my mind now. But how has this storm affected the honey?
Production of it.
Yeah.
Well, in our lifetime, and I'm sure in Ben's dad's lifetime, we've never seen anything like Hurricane Michael. It beat all the trees. There was nothing left on a tree here.
Oh.
I mean, it just beat them and beat them. And it caused the trees to all bloom because they were beat so hard. And a lot of the Tupelo actually bloomed in December. So we're not sure yet if they will bloom this spring. because the Tupelo is, you know, one of those trees, it usually just blooms once every 365 days, and that's it.
Now,
I mean-
your harvest period is very short, isn't it?
Yeah, usually about 2 weeks. You get about a 2-week bloom,
Wow.
but we've seen it where you had 2 or 3 days. You know, some years it'll bloom kind of staggered, and you'll get, you know, 2 or 3 or kind of a 4-week window out of it. But usually when it blooms that way, towards the end, even though there are trees blooming, they don't usually get a lot of nectar off of it.
So from the time you harvest until the time, excuse me, it goes into your jars, about how long does that take?
Well,
For
the
production?
bees, it blooms and the bees make it for a couple of weeks, and then it takes us probably 2 or 3 weeks to extract it all, and then we just bottle it through the year as we go.
Oh, okay.
Now, Glynnis, I remember you saying last time we were here that when the Tupelo bloom gets wet, it takes so much longer for it to dry out versus other
Right.
honeys. Is that another thing that makes it so limited?
Yes, Tupelo's real fickle. Unlike a lot of other blossoms, the least little thing can throw the Tupelo blossom off. Any other flower, it gets wet, as soon as it quits raining, the bees can go back and work it. They can't work a Tupelo bloom until it dries out. And you know, it could take it until the next day to dry out.
Yeah.
So if you get any kind of rain when it's blooming, it's cutting your production.
Right.
How many other people are doing Tupelo honey around here now? Are there any carpetbaggers coming in just putting their hives out?
Well, there are people coming in from everywhere, and they think they're making Tupelo honey. They're, you know, coming in, and really they're just cutting the production for everybody because they're overpasturing the Tupelo. It's another thing about Tupelo. You can only have, you know, about 300 hives per mile or so on Tupelo to produce it. And where we have 300 hives, they're coming in and they'll sit 3,000 down.
Oh, wow.
And you can't produce honey that
Oh,
way.
wow, yes.
It's just over pasture. It's like anything in agriculture. You put too many cows in a pasture and they can't feed. And it's the same thing, and they don't seem to understand that. So not only they're hurting our production, they're hurting their own production.
Right. And where specifically does the Tupelo tree grow? Just here in
The
Appalachia?
biggest concentration is here around Weewahitchka.
Okay.
Probably 10 miles below Bluntstown and maybe about 10 miles up from Apalachicola
Okay.
is your biggest concentration. It's where you produce the highest quality Tupelo honey. There are some trees that grow, you know, a few here and there, and they can make some honey, but they don't make the same quality of honey.
How do you make the quality of honey?
That's up to the beekeeper.
Okay.
You have to know what you're doing to make Tupelo honey. You
So-
have to know when you got to go clean your hives out. And we lose Tupelo honey because we go back and clean them out again once they start gathering it to make a better quality honey. And most people won't do that. They clean their hives out and bring them in, and so, you know, they got 30, 40, 50 pounds of something else on them. It's
Oh.
going in with the Tupelo. And then you got to know when to pull it, you know, to keep them from mixing it
Oh.
at the
right.
end.
And how many beekeepers do you employ?
We've got about 2 or 3 that help us in the spring.
Okay.
And these people who are selling, quote, Tupelo honey, it's just like any other product. The quality is totally different. So a person who buys that thinking it's Tupelo honey is just being misled.
Buyer beware.
Buyer beware.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tupelo,
so-
any honey, I'll say any honey.
yeah.
You need to know your beekeeper. You need to know who you're buying it from.
What
You
was-
know, to know what you're getting. And
Yeah.
then the state of Florida made it where they can put a Tupelo honey label on a jar as long as it's 51% Tupelo.
Ah,
And that is just sickening.
I could be a 51% doctor then.
There's-
'cause I'm a doctor kid.
There's no way we would put a label on something that was 51%.
No,
my
it's not.
God.
I mean, it's either high quality Tupelo honey or it's not Tupelo honey. So the majority of what you've got out there now is probably 51% or less Tupelo,
Oh my goodness.
which is a
Very
crying
deceiving,
shame
very deceiving.
Yeah.
because Ben's grandfather's the one who started the Tupelo honey certification process.
Was he the first one, or was he one of the beekeepers in the 1800s that started harvesting?
No, there were a
Tupelo?
couple other older fellas that were doing it, you know, just making it to consume it back then.
Yeah.
But it's almost a lost art. You know, people are just into making an easy buck now, and they're, you know, nobody worries about the quality of what they produce anymore.
I know the honey, and I've called you many years and say hi to honey, and you'll say, well, it's really good, we just don't have a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a predictable crop.
No.
So the people who are listening to this, and you're educating them on the differences that they want some, obviously you can tell them the website or the phone number, and what is that?
Yes, sir. It's lltupelohoney.com. And our phone number is 850-639-2371.
And there was a movie shot called,
Yuli's Gold.
and I'm still trying to find it. Everybody's out of it. And tell us a little bit about the movie. I know truck goes by. Peter Fonda was in the movie.
Yes,
And
yeah.
how long ago was that? Do you remember?
They made Yuli's Gold in 1995, and
Oh,
it was
okay.
released in 97. And actually, Victor Nunez, the one who wrote it and
Yeah.
directed it and all, he was just here the other day.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I think he was in the FSU Film School at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, he was a teacher,
Yeah.
but he's trying to work on doing another film right now. And through the hurricane, he came and brought us supplies, and
Oh, great.
you know, and
So we stayed in touch all these years.
yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
we
a
did.
very good movie. So for people who can find it, it's called Youll's Gold, and it was most of it was all of it just about was filmed around here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Any of the family members in the movie?
Yeah, my in-laws and myself, we were in the scene in the what's the restaurant on the corner down in Apalachicola?
Oh, here you got.
Come on, my mind went blank.
Oh well.
It's been there for 100 years, so my mind's blank and I can't even think of the name of it now. We were in that scene in the restaurant when he was talking to the honey buyer, you know,
Yeah.
in there. Yeah, we were sitting at the table in the background.
Oh,
but,
okay, that's cool.
yeah.
Well,
I always
Glynnis-
tell everybody I made my Hollywood debut.
Well, you did. Yeah, did you get paid for it? That's
No.
the question. Oh, you didn't get a SAG card or anything. You don't get royalties. Oh no. Well, that wasn't very sweet of you.
No pun intended, right? Sweet honey. I'm
But
sorry.
you know, a lot of people don't know, but Ben actually helped Victor with the script, with the beekeeping and all.
Oh, okay.
All the beekeeping stuff in the movie is stuff that came straight out of Ben's mouth because Victor wanted it realistic, you know,
Right.
all the beekeeping stuff.
That's probably one reason it was such a good movie.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I know that with the hurricane, and we just came through Mexico Beach and all had the devastation and the people in this area. Just it's so sad to see it. And I know everyone's recovering, and we wish you the best. I think from our interview, you can see why the Lanier family is so special. I thank you for joining us, and please subscribe to our channel.